So, funny story about today's tutorial is that it actually was not meant to be a tutorial at all. So, I've been working on another tutorial and I needed some pieces to do some demonstrating on. So, I thought I would whip up some pretty pink pieces with some scraps and use those. And I thought I would do it as a reel, so I filmed the process. Well, I actually thought they turned out so awesome that I wanted to share that full process with you guys and not cut it down to a minute. So today's tutorial is a full length reel showing all the steps to making the pair of earrings that I then used for my demonstration still. So I do apologize if some little bits are missing because I would have been actually editing as I was filming, but hopefully I've got the majority of the process there that if you want to make a pair for yourself, you're able to. So I hope you enjoy. Okay, so as usual, we need to start with choosing our clays. So I wanted to have a combination of pinks and whites and clears through the design. So I'm just mixing up some of the pink with some white to make a different shade. And there's all my pieces that I have cut and popped through the pasta machine to make it thin. Now, usually when you do this kind of thing, you can use some paint on your pieces. I decided to use some Posca pen. This Posca pen was running out, so it wasn't actually painting on quite so even, but I thought I'd give it a go and just see if it worked out with that same sort of effect. And I had figured that if it didn't work, I would just edit it out of the reel. But since I'm going to show you guys the whole process here, I'm not editing it out, I'm going to show you. Yeah, I was struggling to get this paint to go on here, and to be honest, I'm not sure if it's actually even visible at the end anyway. So if you're going to do this for yourself, you can skip this part. I actually thought I was being a bit clever too, because Posca paint pens dry a lot quicker than actual paint, so I thought that this was going to speed up my process. Anyway, not sure if it even really made a difference. So if I was to do it again, I would skip this step. Okay, so there's my pieces. They're looking kind of hacked, kind of dotty with that paint. So I am now going to add a little bit of foil to the pieces as well. Again, this kind of disappeared within the pattern and it wasn't quite as visible. So again, if I was to do this again, I would probably put foil onto both sides of the clay just to try and make it stand out just that little bit more. Now, I should mention, because I didn't mention it before, one of these clays is a white clay, one is opal, and one is translucent. And then those pinks were just some scrap mixes that I had, and then I mixed one with white to make it paler so that it's sort of all blended in. All right, so I'm going to stack these colours on top of each other, and I'm putting those whiter, translucent, and opal between each of the pinks just to break it up a little bit. There we go. So it's looking like a really cool sandwich. I actually thought at this point it'd make a really fun stripe, and I was very close to just making it a stripe with those colours layered because I thought that would be kind of cool, which it would be. But I decided to continue, and I'm just squishing it all together, and I'm going to make a little bit of a square log out of it. So by doing this squeezing and pressing motion, I'm also kind of helping it to condition a little bit. The pieces were already conditioned, but if you've ever worked with the translucents and opals before, you'll know that they are really tough clays and they do take a lot of conditioning. So this is kind of conditioning it a little bit extra. Okay, now this step here is probably the most important to getting our pattern the way we want it, and that is to do a twist. So I did mention before about it being a square log. The square log part comes into it now. That was like a round cylinder style before, which makes it easier to twist. And then I'm now going to start shaping it into a bit more of a square shape once I'm happy with the twisting, because that's going to be easier for us to tile out and make a repeat pattern. So I didn't grab my acrylic plate that I would usually have. I just used my acrylic roller just to roll those sides to make them flat. All right, there we go. So it's just a little one we're doing today because these were just scraps, so nothing too massive. Just wanted to make a couple of pairs of earrings. So now I can do the slice. And look at that. How cool does that look? I reckon it looks like some sort of a stone effect, which is really cool. And by having that translucent and the opal in there, because the opal's got a bit of well, not a bit, it does have a translucent base, it puts a bit of depth into our colouring. So yeah, it just creates a really nice effect. All right, so I'm just going to tile these together now, just so that they make one solid piece. Let's move it so you can see it. All right, so 2 at the top, 1 in the middle, 2 underneath, and then the last one, going to cut it in half and fill in those gaps. Squeeze it in there and squeeze that one in there. Cool, and you can see those really pretty flakes from the opal, so they do look really nice within this. I'm just going to put the baking paper down. It's just going to stop it from just lifting up and grabbing onto my roller. And I'm just going to roll it now. I want it to squish together so that it all holds together as one piece. And if it squishes nicely, we shouldn't really be seeing those join lines quite as obvious either. So there we go. That's looking pretty good. Cool. And then we can now cut out our shapes. So I decided I wanted to do 2 pairs. So I decided with a droplet pair, which is this one here. And also I grabbed a circle because I thought I'd just go plain and simple. Mainly because for my other video that I wanted to use these for, I just needed something really simple. Plus, the pattern's also really pretty, so we don't need to distract from that pretty pattern with a shape that's too complicated. All right, so they're cut out, and then we're just going to pop them into the oven to bake them up. So the clays from this are mainly Primo and Soufflé. Even though they were mixes, they're the 2 clays that I use the most. So I'll be baking them at 130 degrees for 45 minutes. Sometimes I'll go a little bit extra to an hour, but yeah, 45 to an hour. And I'm just making sure that they're nice and flat on the tray because my tray has that indent in it. So I don't want them to take the shape of the indent. Okay, so they are all out of the oven and baked up and now have cooled down. And it's good to see that that translucent has done the effect that I wanted it to. I kind of wish I added some more to it though. It's given a bit of a depth, a bit of a layering effect to them, which is what I was wanting to make that more stone-like realistic effect. Okay, anyway, I need to now smooth out the edges. So I've gotten my little scalpel knife here and I'm just going to take off the extra sort of chunks of clay around the edge. And I like to use my knife for this, especially when I've got the opal clay involved, because the opals are quite chunky, that the little flecks of opal. So the knife can help to, it doesn't cut through them, but it helps to just remove them because it kind of pulls it out. So if there's any pieces along the edge that need to be removed, that helps. And it's just evening it out as well. And then once I'm happy with how that is, I'm going to take to it with some fine grit sandpaper, and that's just going to then smooth those edges nicely. So I'm mainly just concentrating on the underneath edge and just a little bit on the top where it feels rough, but the top's generally pretty smooth because that's where the cutter has cut through. So yeah, just mainly along that bottom edge is what we want to concentrate on when we're sanding. So I'm going to do the same with the circle as well. So just going along, roughly taking off those extra bits, and then I'll use the sandpaper. Now the better quality cutters leave less mess to clean up. So both of the cutters that I used today were pretty sharp and pretty good. So there's not a huge amount that needs to be cleaned off the edges of these, but there's still just a little bit, and I would prefer to do it now before I do the resining on top. Okay, so we are now at the resining stage. Now, the whole reason that I needed to make these pairs of earrings was for my resin video. So if you are wanting to know all the tips and tricks to getting a really good finish on your UV resin doming on your polymer clay, keep your eyes out over the next coming weeks, because I will be doing a full-length tutorial on that, showing all the tips and tricks to getting the perfect domed effect. Now, that being said, if you're one of my paid members over in my membership section here on YouTube, then you are going to have access to this video a lot sooner. In fact, I'm actually publishing this tutorial and the resin tutorial at the same time. So once you finish watching this one today, you can jump on over and watch the resin one next. And if you are not a member and you want to join us over in that membership section, you will get a whole bunch of extra tutorials, as well as getting the first look of my YouTube tutorials as well. And I have a whole bunch of extra tips and tricks over in the post section for them as well. So definitely check it out if polymer clay is your thing and you want to learn more. Okay, so my pieces are beautifully cured now, and look at that shine. They look so good, and it really brings out the little bit of sparkle that is within these as well. So they are just looking absolutely amazing. Very happy with how these turned out. Okay, so coming into the home stretch now, I need to drill the holes into these. So I have turned that sound right down for this because the drill gets very noisy. And as usual, I can't get a good angle to show you me drilling these. So you're just going to cop an eyeful of my hand. So yeah, I'm going in directly over the top so that I get a nice straight hole within the pieces, and I'm just going down a couple of millimeters from the top so that they are nicely not too close to the top, because otherwise they might chip, but yeah, not too far down because we want the jump rings to be able to fit. So I'm just going along doing those, and then we're going to assemble them into the earrings. So I decided for the toppers that I'm going to use some acrylic pastes for the circles. So I know that in here I have these ones. They are I suppose magenta pink is how you would describe them, and they've got glitter. So I thought these would just match perfectly onto or with those clay pastes. I'm just taking off those protective films that come on the acrylic pastes now, so that I remember that they also don't have to remember to take them off afterwards when I glue the backings on. So I did actually consider making some smaller pieces out of the same clay for the toppers, but I thought that I would do something different because I didn't want it to be too matchy the same. So that's why I've gone with these glitter pieces here. And I think they work well. So I'll pop that on top there. Yeah, see, they look good. It kind of matches in with that darker pink that's within the pieces. All right, and then the little droplets, I'm not going to use these. I think they're not quite the right proportion. Let's just get them away. So I was thinking of using just some little ball studs. They're just nice and delicate, and they'll hang really nice from those. So we're going to do that. And then the colorings that I'm using are the rose gold jump rings, and those ball studs are rose gold as well. There is the little bit of gold foil that you can see in there, but I think it wasn't gold foil anyway. That was kind of a bit of a rose gold as well, and I think the rose gold goes really nicely with the pink. So we're going to use those jump rings, and I like to use size 8. So I'm pretty good now at eyeballing where those holes need to be to make the size 8 fit. All right, let's thread these on. And remember to always twist your jump rings, not pull them apart so that they don't distort. This one's actually being very tricky, not wanting to go back together. There we go. Yep, that's just beautiful and simple and looks really good. So that's that pair done, and then we'll do these with the acrylics. And I'm actually just going to glue the posts on the back of these afterwards. When I glue the posts, I use E6000 glue, and you really don't want to disturb them disturb the glue for at least 24 hours, if not longer, to make sure that the glue has a really good hold. So I will glue these afterwards so that way I can just leave them so that they're not being touched. But I wanted to finish this now, so that's why I'm just going to attach them now without the posts on. Okay, there we go. So they are finished. So I hope you enjoyed coming along with me today, watching me make these. I think it was much better to do as a full length than just the 60-second reel. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it. These turned out really good, so I'm very happy. And don't forget to keep your eyes out over the next few weeks for that resin doming video as well. But until then, I'll be back again next week with another tutorial. So thanks for joining me today, and I will see you again next week. Bye.